Okay, remember, I'm making this video, and I'm going to put this video in on the website that works through uh, the modeling class. And I said you can look at these fast structures if you want. We're going to finish up with this complete case. I put right here, if somebody wants to do this completely from scratch, I'm going to put the file name associated with this. This is just one of these tests I used. And by the way, I've been collecting a lot of those tests, so you can see that I have in chapter 1. If you get this, and when I've been giving these whatever what do you call the links, I just, because of this class that the students were fantastic, but the people who ran it. Oh well, and I have this one that says interviews, and I've been collecting these. I realize I have this Australian shipping place, BlackRock, Hotel Rio, Macquarie, Siemens, kind of these different cases, and for each case I put the case study, and then for just about all of them I have a finished case. So that's, if you look at this chapter number 1, then in that folder you'll find this. So now let's go on and let's let's do the same sort of thing, but do it where we instead of using a timeline that goes every single month, now we're going to use a timeline that goes month by month until we hit COD. After COD, am I recording? Yeah, I am. After we hit COD, then we switch to 6-month or quarterly if this is in the U.S. And people say I have this, they think I'm from the U.S. Well, yeah, I kind of am. And then, well, whatever. Then we switch. If it's the U.S., you want quarterly a lot of times for the tax thing, the tax equity, and all this IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. We put but then some other financing might be semi-annual. So you might want 1 page quarterly, 1 page semi-annually. You use a lot of sum ifs to go back and forth. Now, remember, on this one, I should have made a format on this one. Remember, we can just finding the sum column. I see. And okay, it's taking a long time. At least I put why it's taking so long to find that sum column. It didn't know how to find it very well. Oh, that's artificial intelligence, I'm sure. Okay, and this one. Okay, I reset it and format it. Let's not put a thing here. And all I was trying to do, it took way too long. Maybe that's why I get criticized so much. Oh man, I'm so sad. Okay, and you can see they're green. These came from another sheet. They're green, and we used the sum if, and we needed this thing that says here's what we're looking for in the sum if, and we needed this series of 12 2003 23s, 12 2024s, blah blah blah. That's what we needed. Okay, we're in 2023, I think. Yeah. Now if we do this, I'm going to put a period number. I'll practice this. Alt S. I said let's use about 100 this time because we have month by month, and then semi-annual. So we don't need nearly as many. Alternate S, I got to check this, and I said 100. Okay, that's just EIS. Okay, that's in case you have like a German computer. And then I said, well, look, we have 11 months. And where did I get my 11 months from? I got to find that. That was our construction period. And that should have been equal to this, shouldn't it have? Sorry about that. Okay, and I hope I didn't screw up the other one because of that. Maybe I did. Okay, and then we put our units in, and then we just take this period number and make it less than or equal to this number. And do this. Aha! Shift Alt F. Yes. No. Yes. We have ones. And that's what we start with, our COD number. Okay, and then once we do that, we say, well, okay, when it's 1, we have 1 month in our period, and when it's after 1, we have 6 months. So you just put an if statement, and you go up to the flag, and you say, if it's 1, we put this one, otherwise we put this one. Okay, and then we go across, and we have 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, change to 6 month. And then we can kind of do the same thing. Remember, this is our first date. If we would, I don't know, we'll leave it here, okay? And then it's this plus 1, like we always do. And then we just make one little change. And in our change, we put equal EDate or EO month, whatever, and then take this one and increment it by 1. That's it. And, oh no, that's not it. You put -1 at the end, sorry. And then you do this, and we have a completely flexible model now. And this model moves from 1 month to 6 months. And as soon as we hit our famous COD date, we hit it here. And this time we're going to have a payment of the debt in the end of this period. And in the end of this period, and in the end of this period. And we should basically get we should get the same answer as we got with our other method. I'm almost afraid right now to check it, but and now let's, as usual, put an operating flag, and the operating flag is this one, because this date is always going to be the start. That's okay. The way I do it, I talk to myself, and this time I don't talk to myself. I talk to you. This has to be greater than or equal to our first phase of our life, I say, after we got married, and then this has to be in your next phase, so it's not less than or equal. It's the date after you die. What happens to you then, you know? And you press Shift Alt F, Control R, and if you even want to put Shift Control V, we can do that. Okay? Whoops. This one. And if you don't like this one, which I don't like, Shift Control W. And maybe we'll have a consistent formatting then. Okay? And you just make your own shortcuts instead of wasting that horrible time with a paintbrush. Okay? I've just wasted a little bit of your time with this. Now we have to transfer the variables. This is the painful, hard part about this. We want to take that monthly stuff with the semi-annual crap and all that stuff, and what we want to do is we want to get it into this. But once we hit the COD period, whoops, let's go 12 periods over. Okay, we need either this date or that date in order to use the sum if. And what that means is we need we need in a monthly sheet, we need 6 of these, 6 of these, 6 of these, 6 of these, and 6 of these, and blah, 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 blah. And then we can use, and that's why I opened this up by showing this one, this is what we're going to use the sum if on. We're going to have a sum if on this date, but we need to have 6 of those dates in our monthly sheet. And if you noticed, what I have not done here is I have not put this little section, and we have down here, I have our final semi-annual date. And if you want to know the truth right now, which you don't really want to care about, is I'm afraid, I'm scared shitless, okay? Because it's a pain. This is really a pain, and that's why I did this last. And I hope you can see that it's a big deal to do that. As soon as we get this, then it'll be smooth sailing, okay? Now, let's put the month number, and I'm just going to follow my own kind of little things. Now, you could say, please, why did you not do this from a blank sheet? Okay, I almost would have had to open another sheet and cheat. And then, remember, we said we did our counting on our fingers if you watched the last video. And these things, they come from this thing, and we had to add 5 to this, not 6. And that was a major deal, and that's where I had to count on my fingers. And then we'll do almost the same thing we did before. We'll take either this month is equal to this one, or we take this month is equal to the next one. And if you remember, when I did this before, okay, when I did this last time, there is our first one. But this is, we don't care about this because we only want to do this post COD. So we want to multiply this little 1 by the post COD. So I had to give myself a hint on how to do that. And then we're always going to use those flags up at the top. Okay? Yep. Okay. I guess we can press Shift Control V. That's our total number of semi-annual periods post-COD. That's what we need in that other sheet. Now, if you really got very careful, you remember when we put the dividends month by month by month afterwards, after the debt is repaid. So if you have a long tail, you could almost argue that, well, this is not going to give you exactly the same IRR because of that stuff at the end where we didn't pay the dividends semi-annually. And then we needed that painful COD. And we just can say, let's take this well, I always like to, I think that's not quite true. Foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of a petty mind. And that's really true. I don't know if that's true. Sorry. And I shouldn't laugh at myself either. That's stupid. Okay. Shift Control V. Okay. And then now, okay, then I say this key flag. And as you can tell, okay, this is where we have our pre-COD junk. And I say, well, if it's the COD minus 1, so let's put an if statement. And I've just done this before, so it took me probably a long time. Equal. Why? I'm in French, okay? Français, anglais, okay? If it's not the COD flag here, what's going on now? Come on. Okay, you can see I'm really nervous. Why should I be nervous? You're not paying me. Okay, if it's the last one, then take the COD. This one. Otherwise, take the last monthly flag. Remember, we had to go backwards. Now, if you do this, what happens is you get a little, we go to the COD date. It's almost like what we did before, and we get a 1. And then you go, this, we pay the debt off here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We pay the debt off. We're still paying the debt off in June. 7. We got a 1. Okay. Okay. And then we do the same thing, and we do this counting, and it's a real pain. Now we need to transform this to a date. And I'm going to put the start date as the prior date. Okay, that's all we're going to do now. Okay, and I forgot if I have to add 1. Okay, I'm not filling it in. And then we have the absolutely key thing here. And we say, well, if, okay, I've done this so many times. If we've got this flag, then we take the start date. We take that start date and we add 6 to it. I just put 6 here. Sorry, I got to put something. Otherwise, we just take the start date. And let me add 1 to this. Okay. Now, when we do that, okay, we've got this same. Oh. Okay, maybe I don't. We're doing it with the end of the month. Excuse me. See how nervous I am, and I'm getting this wrong, and I'm kind of just, and then we look over here, and we've got the end. This is the end date, and how many? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we go to the next one. Ooh, because if it was this date, then we increment it. If it was this date, we increment it by 6. Otherwise, we just keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we just keep doing that. Okay, now, oh, what a relief. Okay, now, that was a pain. And maybe I'm going to just quit all this modeling, but if I keep going, maybe after you do it for me, it would take 100 times to do it. I would kind of finally get it. This was the key to get this flag, and then just to use an EO month instead of an E month. Now, I have done this. I've spent hours on this stupid thing to get a really flexible start date. But if you can do this, it's fantastic. And then you can just say, well, if it's the pre-COD period, let's just take the regular old E date, end of the month. Otherwise, we're going to take this one. And so now we have a totally flexible date. And this flexible date should be exactly the same as what we have in this one over here, hopefully. And we start with January, February. We start with the end of the month. We keep using the end of the month. So again, I said foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of a petty mind. And there's a better, it's a better saying, and we've got 1. So we've got 6 of them, and we add the 6 of them. And then what we do is we take and put equal a sum if Okay, and then the range, just like we did with the year, the sum if is on this one, and you press the F4, and then you go back to our model, and we're going to sum if it's that one. And we'll press the F4 twice. And that's just exactly what we did when we used the sum if on the annual. And if I want to get my EBITDA to be semi-annually, now I put my inflated EBITDA, that's what we'll use, our inflated numbers. Okay. And we have the, oh, come on. Oh, it didn't work. Shoot. Aha. We needed to use EO month instead of E-date. So I could claim that I made an error on purpose, and that would have been a lie. And now I'm remembering, so I got it almost right. But in case you don't know, and maybe you were laughing at me when I was getting it wrong. And when I first made these videos, I remember I was all worried about making these kind of mistakes. And, oh, they're all going to think I'm an idiot and all this, which I am, and I don't care about, because I don't care about any. June has 30 days. I think I know that. But December, you know, it doesn't end on December. It ends on December 31. So this E date should have been EO month, and I'm almost sure we should have put 5 instead of 6, but let's copy this across and see what happens here. And we have our June. We have our June right. Oh, we didn't. We just needed the 6 instead of 5. And if I would say I can do this any other way than a trial and error, you'd be completely wrong. And maybe this is okay, because now we have our semi-annual periods with our sum if, and this was the painful part of it. And now I can make sure that that one equals the monthly operations, you know. And if somebody's going to yell at me later at the very end of this for using the generic macros, tough crap, really. And then we can do the same thing for CapEx. We almost don't have to, but I can just bring it down. Now, there are probably going to be a whole lot of other things you want from the monthly analysis. And so you can then just click on this and just use the whole line again, okay? And now we have our CapEx. And remember, we're doing our funding of our CapEx, and I must have done a different S-curve, and it really doesn't matter. And then I'm going to press Shift-Control-Q to get a little bit of better formatting. And now if you're going to have to really use the XIR here, unless you have to do it kind of in a PV and all that stuff otherwise. And because we're paying the debt off at the end of the period, we use the end of the period, and we get the 5.64, which if we looked at this one, is this 5.64? It's kind of almost just like this. How interesting. Okay, that's where we did our little thing where we summed them, and then but there were those things at the end, so it's not exactly. And then we have our payment, and we have exactly the same payment I did last time. And then I put the flag in here, but I didn't put it yet. This is our payment period flag, and I don't know why I'm doing this again, but this one has to be greater than or equal to this one, F4, and this one, has to be less than this. And you notice I had to use the EO month. When I used the EO month, blah, 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 what happened? I'm not using it all the time. And then we did our same thing for the pre-COD period. I hope this time E date, and we find the COD period, and we put comma -1, so you get just the month before it. And now we'll make the opening balance equal the closing balance. We'll take our total amount and we'll multiply that by this pre-COD period, and then I'm going to put the repayment as the total payment here, which, by the way, I should have said this. This is now a 50 periods and a semi-annual rate. Okay, that's what we're using now, and you subtract the interest, and this is a semi-annual rate, and I put that in, and I hope when I put that in, the closing balance is the opening balance plus this minus that, and the interest is over here. And when I'm doing this, I hope you kind of use stuff on the side like this and not make it mysterious, so you can clearly see. Oh no. Okay, and now you can clearly see where things come from. Okay, there's no mystery. The F2 is such a big deal. If you ever, I go nuts when this comes from another sheet. If this came from one sheet and this came from another sheet, it'll look like a simple formula, but it would be a complete mess. A complete mess. And now I put our pre-tax cash flow, and I put in our equity IRR, and that's going to, again, be the XIRR. And we take this equity cash flow. And you could argue the one thing that's a little bit wrong with this method is that after the debt is repaid, we still assume semi-annual, and this was fine. This if you're going to allow the dividends to occur and not constrain the dividends to come at the end of the month, you can argue this is a little tiny bit more accurate. So and I hope, if there are a couple of things wrong, tough, you can fix them. But I'm not going to. Well, I'll save it. I'll save this file. But this is the file here that has the completed equations. So the idea, you can look at the completed equations, or you can go through it slowly. And right down here, I'm going to put the 3 videos I just made. So because we had this horrible, torturous Zoom call, 3 a.m. Now, the idea, of course, with these videos is you can stop it, you can look at it, you can understand it. Okay, and I'm going to, gosh, that's only 28 minutes. Wow.